Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Namibia Scientific Society. Can I just ask one favor for the people that is on Zoom? Can someone just comment to me, please, if you can hear me loud and clear, and if you are seeing the presentation? Just leave me a comment and I'll check it now. And yes, welcome to all the people that are here. Welcome to the members of the Namibia Scientific Society. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Natasha Divenage. I'm a staff member here at the Scientific Society. Just a few housekeeping rules. We have, not really rules, just indications. We have bathrooms here around the corner. When you go down the corridor, you will walk straight into them. And then afterwards, if you haven't yet already, you can help yourself there at the back with our donation bar. And then you must enjoy the presentation. We're at talk 5 of our cybersecurity series. After tonight, only the one left, the big one. Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Natasha. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, the big one is next month. That'll be the dark web, and that'll be a culmination of everything we've discussed over the last 5 or how many months we've been going through this. And that'll show you where the criminals live, what they do with your data, how they trade it, and how they make money, and how they commit all their crimes. This evening we're going to get a little bit more scientific, excuse the pun, and I'll ask you to help me on 1 or 2 issues. They'll be interesting, and we'll see how we go. It's my company, Intelligence I1, and then the Cyber Institute is the academic research side of that business, which we provide courses and learning and support structures to various people, organizations, as well as universities. All right, let's picture the scene. It's 8 o'clock, Monday morning. We walk into the office and the clock is ticking. Everything seems normal. Is it normal?
No, there's no benches. It looks a bit empty.
Yeah, they stole the benches.
And the computers.
So, staff sit there and they're working and they suddenly say to themselves, there's files opening that they never opened. The internet or the actual network is a little bit slow, strange logins, weird things happening, and the clock is ticking. And eventually they settle down, tea time comes around at about 10 o'clock, and it's probably nothing. We'll just ignore it. It's just a bad day on the network, and the IT guy's not there. They're in a training session as usual, and and we'll just ignore it and we'll carry on with life and we'll try to do business as best as we can. Lunchtime comes around. Same problem, it's still persisting. It's just not going away. It's slow. Can't get work done. The database is slow. There's a huge latency. Every time I type, my letters seem to be coming very, very, very slow. Then we get to the scientific experiment. What I want you to do is concentrate. This is important. This is very, very important. This is real science. This. Concentrate on the lady in blue. See her there? Well, you have to be so technical. Let's just call it the front lady in blue with the white tackies. Oh, all 3 have got white tackies. Anyway, let's keep the front lady. Let's go with her. You just witnessed the cyber attack. That is exactly what happens when we suddenly realize everything has failed. Everything has gone wrong. It's just stopped. And we scream our heads off because we are lost at sea. Everything has just come to a standstill. You can literally, in the movies, they have those sounds where it goes, something like that, You can even feel the sensation. Everything just stops right there. get out your notebooks and pens and let's go back to the old-fashioned stuff of 1956 and let's work that way. No, says everybody. So what was the first security failure? Was it the firewall? Does everybody know what a firewall is? It's that thing that sits on our computer or the net and it controls traffic coming in and out of our network or in and out of our computer. For instance, if you own a laptop, Microsoft controls the firewall for you. It does most of the work for you. You don't really have to do much. You don't even have to configure it. Bigger companies have very fancy firewalls. And the problem with firewalls is they often get misconfigured. Okay, so somebody didn't do their work. Or they automate it. Yes, automation is a solution, but to a certain point, not all the way through. We still need to do some stuff. So configuration of a firewall. But in this case, did the firewall fail? Was it antivirus? We all know what antivirus is. Who owns an Apple computer? No one? Here we go, 1, 2. Everybody says if you own Apple, you don't need antivirus. I've got news for you. It's just that you only take up 10% of the world population when it comes to computers. That's the difference. Hackers are not sitting around trying to design viruses for Apple computers because there are just too few of them. Microsoft has the greater business percentage, and they create viruses for Microsoft computers. So antivirus is installed on Apple occasionally. They normally use a program called, no, it doesn't come to me. Anyway, it'll come to me just now. No, but Defender is Windows. It'll come to me. Anyway, so in this case, did the antivirus fail? We don't know. Could have. And if antivirus does fail, I'll tell you an interesting thought. If antivirus does fail, you usually don't know about it. The scripts that come through these days, when it comes through on a ransomware or malware attack, here is the trick. The script disables the antivirus. And we as the user won't even know. Is it the servers? Did the servers fail? Did they stop working? We scratch our heads and say, the network, our company network is very slow, or the incoming traffic is very slow. Our emails, you've got clients phoning, have you received my email? No. Did the email service suddenly go offline? Did the email service suddenly just stop dead? We don't know. So we still don't know what's failed. But let's get to the root problem. We as human beings have failed. I'm yet to see any attack in this world that was purely technology. Every single attack in this world comes down to human behavior. Every single day. Misconfigured servers, misconfigured firewalls, misconfigured email servers, misconfigured da-di-da-di-da-di, I can go on. It's humans. We get lazy and we don't talk about it. That's what I said right at the start. Kept quiet. It's probably nothing. We just carried on in our day and thought things would just return to normal. Especially when the IT guys come back. Magically, they go into their server room and it's all fixed. No. If it's a ransomware attack, probably not. So there we have it. It's human behavior. And we need to create that human firewall. Now, we can't go around looking for special guards. Anybody know who these guards are? Anybody? In Europe? Sorry. I hope that works. There's a feedback somewhere, but anyway. Yeah. Don't know, somewhere we've got a feedback. Sorry about that. Portuguese. Yeah, could be. I have no idea. I was hoping you would assist me. Anyway, they're guards, and they're very elite guards. We get guards in the UK, the Royal Guards, we get all sorts of fancy things. But we can't, as just the average person or the average business owner, we can't keep on deploying guards. We've got to do logical things that make us aware of what's happening. And when it comes to cybersecurity, let me tell you something. It's not software that does it, as I've just illustrated. Software helps, yes. We've seen the advent of AI. We've seen AI, if you came to my previous talks, you've seen AI even write hacking emails. We can use AI we do it in our company. We've got an AI-specific server, and it writes our reports for us. But we had to tell it what to do. Okay? It doesn't do the rest of the work for us. It can purely just write a report. So it's not software. Software is not going to do the job for us. Automation is not going to do the job for us. And nor is hardware. Hardware is not going to prevent these attacks from happening. It's not going to even stop them if we don't configure them correctly. So what's the safest way of actually preventing an attack? Does anybody want to have a go? We spoke about this at the last talk. Switch off your computer. But realistically and practically, that's not the solution. Hey, we're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on computers and devices and WhatsApp and making our company efficient. We're even making our family efficient because we can communicate with each other on WhatsApp. All these really cool things. These really nice things. Did you solve it? Cool, thanks. All these great things that we can use to our advantage. We can even give our kids, even though personally and professionally I'm against it, but if you give a child a cell phone, we can track them. We can see where they are. We can make sure they're not standing outside of a school on a cold, rainy day and they're getting sopping wet. We can be there on time. We can fetch them. We can prevent kid snatchings. We can prevent all sorts of things. It's wonderful. Technology is great if we treat it correctly. And the only way to treat it correctly is if human beings something happened to my slide. If human beings make good decisions. I often sit with clients with tears in their eyes because they've just had a complete meltdown when it comes to a cyber attack. And then I start running through the stages of how that cyber attack happened. So the scenario I gave you of we walk into the office and all the benches have been stolen, thank you, Helen, and the clock was ticking down. That is based on a real case scenario. Because ransomware attacks 90% of the times, or 99% of the time, occur over weekends. Does anybody want to have a guess why? Anybody? Correct. It's as simple as that. They know that already. They've been sitting on your system monitoring you. They know when your system is active. And they can see when everybody goes home. And then they say to themselves, right, that's when we deploy what we call mimikatz. Do you know mimikatz? Mimikatz is the backbone to most malware attacks. It's been around for years. And it runs over the weekend. It then deactivates the antivirus. It then deactivates the firewalls. It deactivates a whole bunch of things. And the guy that comes in on a Sunday morning to do a little bit of extra work because he needs to catch up, for Monday, suddenly sees something's wrong on the network, and he says, nah, just shut it down and let me go home and worry about it on Monday morning. And then when you sit with the client and you say, what happened? No, we came to work on Monday morning, that ticking clock. Okay, let's start at the start. Was your policy in place? No, it's kind of 10 years old. Okay. When last did you upgrade your system? We think about 6 months ago. Do you know what upgrades you did? Nope, we're not too sure. We didn't upgrade the firewall, but we did all the Microsoft products. Ah, okay, that's good. At least we're getting somewhere. Your staff trained? No, not really. Do they know social engineering? Do they know what a phishing email looks like? Yeah, they've got an idea. And so it goes on. Do you see where I'm going? The whole thing is human, the human firewall. If we're not going to prevent these attacks, they're just going to carry on. So what do they look like? Remember in the previous talk, we spoke about multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication. You might get a strange warning on your computer via email or even on your phone that says to you, please admit or sign in and admit this to two-factor authentication. We blindly do it because we think that's what we're doing. But the hacker knows you use a particular product, so he's going to send you a multi-factor authentication that you're going to recognize, not a random one. That's how much he knows about you. Or they send you one of these. Confirm your login. We have an unknown login, and this is a real one. Notice something. Russia. If you have an Instagram account and it's got details like that, device unknown, browser unknown, and it says Russia, who do you know in Russia? Do you know anybody? If your answer is no, you have a Russian problem. Your computer goes slow, does things like this, takes forever to load. Okay, you've let your hard drive get really untidy, and yeah, a bit of debugging might sort that out. But technology nowadays is modernized so much with solid-state drives, this very seldom happens. But if your computer is genuinely slow, there's generally a problem. Pop-ups. These are very common. It's called adware. They're not really viruses in the strict terms of malicious. They don't hack into your system, but they deliver what we call a payload or a script that runs on your computer, and then it starts advertising things to you that you never wanted because it's purely reading the data on your system. And it's exfiltrating your data. It's taking the data from your computer and they're uploading it to some other server somewhere else because they want to know you, Joe Soap, or Tanya Smith, or whatever your name may be. They want to know more about you. So they do this because they want to point specific advertisements at you. And if you get enough adware on your computer, they will crash it. It will crash your computer. And then you get this. This is a genuine one. It's a virus alert. It says your computer has a big deadly virus on it. But that's the catch. There was no virus. It wants you to click on something. It wants you to activate something. And you seem to be so good, you ignore everything else we've sent you, so we'll try this one. Okay? So we give you a virus, hoping, because again, it's a social engineering attack, and you get such a fright, you just press click. Yes, let's clean this thing. Let's get rid of this virus without consciously going into it and finding out what's going on. Have a look on your own system. What does your antivirus warnings look like? If you're using a Microsoft system, check it. Have a look what it looks like. This also happens on phones. Then, the interesting one, it happened about 2 years ago. A client said, my printer is just printing merrily on its own. The only way I can stop it is switch it off. And that's what was happening. It was this printing gobbledygook, nothing that made sense. You can see those pages that you're seeing. If you're saying to yourself, but I can't read anything, you're dead right. You can't read anything. Nothing makes sense there. And it's just printing. If you switched it back on, it just kept on printing. And there's a virus sitting in the memory. But if you're really having a bad day, your printer will spit out this. And that is a real lockbit ransom note. So the ransomware loads onto your computer. In this particular case, this happened to Royal Mail in the UK. I investigated this case. And Lockbit will actually issue their ransom note via your printer. Okay? If you see that, you're in trouble. Big, big trouble. If that ever happens to you, I hope it never happens to you. They're a big company, they've got a lot of resources, they've also got massive backup systems, etc. The Rent-A-Drum ransomware attack here in Namibia, they lost everything. Everything. It went right through into their backups, took everything out. They were offline for nearly 20 days. So if that ever comes spewing out of your printer, I would come in. I would advise maybe a holiday would be in order. And then you get browsers that suddenly start acting funny. Here I'm showing you one called the Tab Storm. I don't know if any of you have been victim of it. I have, purely because of the nature of the work that I do, and that's why we use compartmentalized systems, is because if it happens, we can isolate and delete it. Then we don't lose anything. But the browser will now just open randomly on its own, and when you get a browser storm or a tab storm, it just starts opening one tab after another, and it just keeps running on totally nonsensical websites, nonsensical things, and it'll just run and run and run and run and run and run until it crashes your computer. So tab storm is the other one to look out for. It's not that common anymore, but it used to happen. It and pop-ups run together. Everybody okay so far with this? It's about us as humans. So, just to repeat why it happens, because we are too scared to talk about it. And why are we normally too scared to talk about it? Because we're embarrassed. That is the biggest problem. I had the unfortunate experience of having to do a risk analysis of a company that was hacked. And when we started looking for the actual leaks, the CEO had several porn accounts. Pornhub is fine, they're still ethical, believe it or not. But there are other porn sites out there. They are purely using human nature because they know men are going to, or even women, will look at that type of stuff, and then they can start capturing details. They can start profiling. They can start collecting more and more information. And if they have a really good day, they can code it and capture the login details. Natasha, the next one, I'm not too sure if this is the one we're going to try and see if it works. Let's try. And one of the reasons, if it doesn't run, I'll just describe it to you. No, that sound's not coming through. No. Sorry, folks. Okay, so what this is about, the guy that was nodding his head, this was a conference I was at in Las Vegas a couple of years ago, and it's all about social engineering, and they set it up in a booth, and they took the CNN journalist and they put him through his steps. So what she does, she says to him, I'm going to hack into your phone system. And he says, no, it's not going to happen. And it's Chris Hadnagy. And she then phones the service provider. So let's for a moment say that's MTC. And she pretends to be his wife. She then makes use of a recording of a baby crying. And the reason for that is to add to the social engineering attack, is to add urgency. The operator then suffers from another thing called reciprocity and then sympathy, and then gives the details. These days they're generally better at it, but it still happens. So this is just a straightforward social engineering attack, which they got right. There's another very famous one, also with a CNN journalist, where they found he booked some flights on an aircraft, and they managed to get into the call center, and they convinced the call center to change all his bookings. and he got onto the wrong plane. They booked him on a flight at 12 o'clock at night. They gave him middle seats for a 4-hour flight and all sorts of crazy things like that. While it's funny, it's serious. Okay? And we make jokes out of it purely to illustrate to everybody what we're doing, to just bring home the message at the end of the day. Okay, so what happens if this happens to you? Has anybody been hacked so badly, if you're prepared to talk about it, that suddenly you're in a situation you have to do something about it? I have been hacked purely by the nature of my work. You too. What is the first thing that we need to take into consideration? Once you validate that you've been hacked, time is of essence. Don't ignore it. Don't keep quiet. Don't say to yourself, it's probably nothing. If you have chest pains, you're not going to say it's probably nothing. You're going to be off to the doctor like a shot. Don't do it with your computer either. It could be your entire life that goes down the tubes. Especially, and I'm not scaremongering here, I'm being deadly serious, we've seen all these bank vintage attacks as well, where people have been scammed for millions of Namibian dollars. Especially the banks. Immediately get hold of the right person in the bank. Immediately report it. Don't sit around considering to yourself, I don't want to embarrass myself. They're going to think I'm nuts. They think I'm just being paranoid. Don't think that at all. Just do it. Then, start writing down URLs. Okay? That's the identification in the browser. Start recording all of those that might be relevant. Start screen capturing. Do we all know how to do screen captures? If you're really in doubt, use a cell phone and photograph your screen, if it's not your phone that you're dealing with. Otherwise, with Windows, it's Control, Shift, and S. Will bring you the snipping tool, and you can just snip your whole screen. If you can, Windows key Shift S will also have the recorder, so you can screen record. So if there's anything playing, record it. Okay? Dates and times, start writing them down. What date did you notice? What time did you notice it? If you do it again, write it down again. It doesn't matter. If it's still there an hour later, still write it down. Then jump onto Google. Type into Google what is happening to you. AI will sort it out for you. So you don't have to be a technical buff. You don't have to have any fancy degrees or anything. Just type it in. Say, this is what don't give you details, obviously, but just say, my computer is doing this. Have I been hacked? AI will go and sort it out for you. AI will find the sources for you. AI will, if they haven't seen it, maybe you've been nailed by a very new virus or a new attack, and there's still no recording to it. Have a look, and AI might say to you, okay, I don't know about this. But normally it has something, because it will ask you, what are the symptoms? Okay, my computer's gone very slow. This is what's on my screen. And then AI will have a look. It will then have a look on social media for you if there's been any social media warnings. Who's not on Facebook? Everybody on Facebook. Excellent. With the bank vintage attacks, one of the first places that got discussed was on Facebook. And people ignored them. But what I'm telling you this evening, for your own good, have a look. And if Facebook says to you, this is what we've recorded, this is what we've seen, or Fred Blogs says, I've seen this, this is what happened to me. I've just been scammed out of 200,000 Namibian dollars from my bank vintage account. Take credence of that. Take note of that and have a look and compare notes. You don't have to contact the person, but just see what they're saying and does it compare with your situation. So always have a look as to what's going on in that sense and record everything. Write it all down, or if you've got a dictaphone or a recording device on your phone, talk to it. Ask for help. Don't keep quiet. I often get calls or emails and people say, Andrew, this has happened, or this is what I've noticed. What do you think? And I say to them, well, yes, we know about it. It's unlikely, but we suggest the following. Or contact your bank, or whatever the situation may be. Don't be scared or shy to ask for help. Remember as well, hacking or criminal hacking, let's put it that way, is a type of an abuse. An abuse functions incredibly well if we keep quiet about it. So don't be scared to ask. Hackers don't want you to ask. Websites, start having a look. Are there any clues to websites? Has your data been published? And if you have been hacked, you might have to wait a while to have a look if your data is anywhere. If there are ethical websites, let's say media, for example, I'm just making a very, very hypothetical situation here, and the media has published your name and says you've been attacked or whatever, and this is what happened to you, approach them and say to them, guys, please, this is not, I don't want to be in the public limelight, please remove the article. Namibia doesn't have rules and laws yet where we can compel websites to remove it. But hopefully it will come. If it's anywhere else in the world, we have ways and means of getting data removed. There is the right to be forgotten movement, and also there's legislation in both Europe and the US which determines right to be forgotten, where under that legislation you can ask for your data be removed. But here's the sad part of it. If any of your credentials or data ends up in the dark web, and that's where we're going to go with the next talk, is unfortunately there's nothing you can do. So right out of block A, start position 1 is we should prevent as much as possible from any of these things to happen. And when you cannot act is exactly then. If your data ends up in the dark web, it's game over, I'm afraid. That is the bad news. However, the good news is this, it's rare. Most of the time, and I don't want to talk about the dark web presentation too much because I'll show you there how it happens, is a lot of data ends up on what we call the surface web. Social media, strange websites, hackers' forums, and sometimes we can normally get that, or most of the time we can get that type of data taken down and removed off those websites. But if it's on any legitimate form of website or anything like that and your data shouldn't be there, then ask for it to be removed before we sit with a situation like this. Sorry about the sound this evening, that we couldn't do all the videos. And always, I just want to remind you, before you do anything, before you click on a link, stop, think, and verify. So if you get that email and it says to you, click on this link, stop, think about it. Is this email for me? Does it look as though it fits my pattern of life? Is it genuinely from the bank? Is it genuinely from the insurance company? Is it genuinely from a colleague? All those type of questions. Ask yourself those questions, which comes to the verification. Verify. Don't be over hasty. We're always too hasty in this day and age to get things done, especially emails. We answer them too fast and we don't look at actually what's going on in that. And have you ever seen somebody that's angry in an email? Toof, 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 and it gets typed very quickly. Before just calming down, breathe deeply, and let's think what we're doing and verify. So the human firewall, folks, is up to all of us. It's for us to do. The technology is there to assist us. The software is there to assist us. It is not the ultimate tool. It is not the ultimate thing to protect us. Simple question to ask yourself, when I leave home, do I leave my front door open? And the logical answer is no. So why do it with your computer? Thank you. Questions? switch off in the sense of? Switch off in the sense of your computer? It depends. Yeah, it depends what the scenario is. I can't just give you one general answer and say switch off. I mean, it really depends what has happened, and that was just a very surface statement I made. So if you're confronted with the situation, the IT guys know it as well. If there is a ransomware attack, and sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, we don't just switch off because we try and preserve the memory, because the minute that you switch off, you lose all the attack credentials, and you try and deactivate certain components depending on how deep the virus has entered into the system. So switching off is, we've really got to look at the situation. Yes, sir.
I have a Mac and I use VPN. Now I noticed that when I use VPN, that's just to watch German TV. I don't have a normal TV, I just have my computer. And when I use VPN, it gets very slow, which I thought, okay, maybe some technical reasons. But if I now want to know whether or not I have been infected with some kind of malware, what do I do? Whom can I trust?
And when it comes to Mac, I'm really doof. Okay, let's deal with the VPN story first. What VPN are you using? Do you know? Yeah. Nord, Shark. Actually, it doesn't matter. Okay. Don't worry too much. Most VPN products are all very similar. What a VPN does? AVG. Most VPNs, sorry, I'm mocking, run, so that what happens is they create a tunnel from your device, your phone, your laptop, your whatever you're using, your iPad. It then goes to its server, okay? So instead of driving from here to Swakop, you're going to go from here via Keetmans to get to Swakop. That's basically what it's doing. It will then reroute that traffic through its other servers. There are videos that show all of this. And your slowness comes from the speed of those servers, what we call the different hops. When we do the dark web, I'll show that in way better detail, because the dark web is incredibly slow because of the amount of computer servers it goes through. So VPNs are almost the same, and that's what causes the slowness. The best thing then is just change the server. Switch to another server and see if you get a better speed. And you can use tools like speed test, those just to check what your speed is, and you can just check whether changing the server makes any difference. Your Mac, unfortunately, if it is attacked, you just got to find a Mac expert that can help you out with that. I'm not an expert when it comes to Apple Mac, and it is rare that Apple Macs are attacked, but if they do, it's quite devastating. So,
What can they do when they think they're attacked?
for Windows systems, it's easy. They just approach us and say, this is what I'm noticing. There's normally a very strong indicator. There's either an email, or there's a pop-up, or there's something that's been displayed on the screen that says this and this and this is happening. Then get hold of an expert, get hold of somebody to sort it all out. But
Explain what a VPN is, though, for those who might not know.
yeah, well, okay. And Windows has enough system resources in itself to try and solve the problem to a measurable degree. So if it's sort of a surface attack, such as a virus or something like that, Windows is normally capable of just doing it itself. VPNs, Helen, are virtual private networks. So they code your traffic from your device to their devices, to their servers, to wherever it routes you around the world, that nobody can see your traffic and nobody can see what you're doing. However, just be aware that VPNs are not security tools, they're privacy tools. Okay? Don't think for a minute that a VPN is a security tool, it's not. It's purely just there for privacy, that if for instance, doing bank transactions, and depending who your service provider is, Paratas, MTC, Telecom, whoever, they cannot see what you're doing. It's all a VPN does. But from a security, if you want to break into a VPN, it's not that difficult. But I didn't say that. Does that answer your question? Other questions? Anybody else? Good? Going, gone?
Thank you so much, Andrew. As always, very interesting. And then we look forward to the talk 6. Just a reminder for those of you who haven't been here with the previous talks, all our talks are on our YouTube channel, the Namibia Scientific Society YouTube channel, talk 1, and this one will also go on before the end of the week. So also if you want to send it out to friends and family who might need this information, you are most welcome. Thank you again, Andrew. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.